Welcome to the Financial Planning Certification Exam Lessons podcast. This is going to be a sample lesson of the full series of audio lessons which are available at the website fplessons.com. That means financialplanninglessons.com, fplessons.com. At the website, you can find the full series of audio lessons. The full series of audio lessons consists of 6 different sections. Those sections include general financial planning principles, professional conduct and regulation, insurance planning and insurance products, investment planning, tax planning, retirement savings and income planning, and finally estate planning. A total of 6 different sections. You can buy the individual sections at the website fplessons.com. Or if you want to save a lot of money, you can buy the full series of audio lessons in a single bundle. All right, let's get on to this sample lesson. This is audio lessons for the Financial Planning Certification Exam, Part 2, Insurance, Risk Management, and Employee Benefits. This is Lesson 2, Variables in Financial Planning.
Welcome to this lesson for the Financial Planning Exam. Today we're going to be talking about contextual variables. And this is a crucial part of the Financial Planning Certification Exam. But what are these variables and why are they so important? Let's go ahead and just dive in. Now, imagine that you're a chef, and just like in cooking, you would adjust your ingredients based on who's eating. So you need to know who you're serving. If you're serving a group of people who really like spicy food, then you make your food a little spicier. But you probably wouldn't make really spicy food for a bunch of young children. Yeah, you need to know the tastes of the people, what country they're from. People from different countries have different backgrounds, have different tastes, and so on and so forth. In financial planning, we adjust our strategies based on our clients' unique life situations. Each client comes with a set of variables, from family status to their professional stage, and all sorts of things in between. And as a financial planner, understanding and navigating these variables is key. So first I'm going to give you kind of an overview of some of these different variables, and then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into a bunch of them so that you can figure out what's going on here. So the first variable you might want to consider is family status. Family is often at the core of financial decisions, and it greatly affects financial planning. The needs of a single individual, focusing on personal goals and higher risk tolerance, because it's just them, differ vastly from those who are married with children. Families face immediate expenses and long-term needs. So for their estate and for their will and that sort of thing, that requires more stability and security. So you would recommend different things for a married person with children than you would recommend for a single individual. Special considerations are necessary for those with special needs children, involving both immediate and long-term planning. The next variable we want to talk about is net worth. Now, net worth involves much more than just numbers. Two individuals with the same net worth may need vastly different financial plans if their assets are held differently. So some people have things tied up in real estate, some people have stocks and bonds or physical assets, all sorts of things. Some people have more liquid assets versus some that do have illiquid assets, such as owning a family business. All the money's tied up in the business. It's not really easy to get to that money quickly. Understanding a client's liquidity, assets, and liabilities is vital to tailoring their financial plan. The next is income level. Now, income level isn't just about the amount, but it's consistency and reliability. It's a lot harder to plan for someone that has a fluctuating income, for example. Someone like a freelancer, so who doesn't always make the same amount each month. They might have good months and bad months and everything in between. So that's a little bit harder to plan for. But that's different than somebody who has, a regular job that you get a monthly paycheck that just comes in like clockwork. It's always about the same amount. So this category also includes things like budgeting, tax planning, debt management, and income protection strategies. The next is professional stage. So each professional stage brings unique financial challenges and opportunities to working people. Early career professionals may focus on aggressive investment strategies because they have a lot longer to recoup losses if something goes wrong. So at the beginning of their career, they really want to go for the high risk, high reward stuff. They also might be thinking about student loan management. They just got out of school and they have all of the student loan debt. They need to know what they're going to do in order to pay that off. The best way to do that. And they want to build credit. They haven't established credit yet, but they want to so that they can do other things in the future. Mid-career individuals balance growing assets that they already have with lifestyle aspirations. They want to live better than they were at the beginning of their career, perhaps finding a nicer house, driving a better car, whatever it is. And those nearing retirement focus on asset preservation and income strategies post-retirement. So they're looking for, yet again, something different. So it's really important that you don't treat all of these the same, because if you do, you're going to give out some advice that is not very helpful. The next one is a category I am going to call life curveballs. Yeah, those are the things that you just did not see coming. And those are really hard. These can include things like health issues, divorce, aging parents that need more care, and changes in employment status require flexible family planning and financial planning. Each event can significantly impact financial trajectories, necessitating robust health insurance policies, emergency funds, special trusts, and strategies for maintaining your lifestyle during income disruptions and in retirement. So this applies to just about everybody. There's going to be some kind of curveball that could hit anybody. For example, health things that really can affect just about anyone. But you just never know. And you can lose your job, get laid off suddenly. You weren't expecting that. So these are just all things that you should be building in. So everyone needs to have some savings, an emergency fund for those times when these curveballs happen. All right, so that's a great overview of what we're going to talk about. So let's drill down a little bit more and talk about things a little bit more in depth. Okay, let's delve a little bit more into family status. That's the cornerstone of many people's lives, as we previously mentioned, and is the heart of major financial decisions. Why is that? So consider a single individual. Their financial focus might lean heavily towards personal goals. Perhaps it's something they want to buy, like, hey, I want to buy a car. I've been using public transportation, but I'd like to have my own transportation. Or travel. Say they'd like to go backpacking through Europe or go visit Asia or somewhere that is important to them. They want to travel, see the world, and that requires some financial planning. Or saving up for a future down payment on a house, or even saving for their education, or they would like to go back to graduate school. These are a lot of kind of self-focused things. Their financial risk tolerance can be higher since they only have themselves to consider. So if their financial situation goes poorly, it's not putting their wife and kids out of house and home. So it's okay to do a little bit riskier stuff that could possibly give you more reward. Now contrast this with someone who's already married, especially if they have children. Suddenly, the landscape shifts. There are immediate expenses. When you get married and have kids, you're probably going to need a bigger house. You're going to need to think about your children's future educational goals. Thinking about, hey, I need to start saving for college already for these kids. Risk tolerance might decrease as the need for stability and security increases. You don't want one bad financial decision to put your family out of house and home, or to make things really, really stressful at home. And then there's also planning for unexpected events, like ensuring there's a safety net should something happen to the primary breadwinner. Let's say the breadwinner works at a construction site and there is a bad accident and they're not able to work for a period of time. So what do you do in that situation? Have you planned for that? Are there safeguards in place in case something like that happens? And speaking of children, what about those with special needs? This could be something like ability needs, someone with cerebral palsy who's in a wheelchair. They need certain kinds of medical care. Or somebody with other needs, such as those with Down syndrome, who require care for most of their lives. They might not be able to ever live independently, that sort of thing. This often requires a specialized plan to ensure that not only their immediate needs are met, but that there's also a long-term plan in place after their parents are gone. So what are they going to do? They have somewhere to live. They have something to live on. Okay, so that's a little bit more about family situation. So think about that. That really has so many ramifications for how you advise people and the kinds of investments you make and when you make them and why you are making them. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about net worth. So picture this. You have two individuals, both with a net worth of $1 million. One has it all in liquid assets like stocks, bonds, and cash. That's really easy to get to. The other has their net worth tied up in a family business and real estate. They own a chain of restaurants, let's say, and they have a lot of net worth, but it's all tied up in buildings and other things that they need to run their business. Do you think their financial plans would look the same? Definitely not. The first individual has more flexibility, but might need strategies to manage market volatility. So if they have everything in the stock market can quickly go up and down. It can be really volatile. So they want to manage that and say, hey, let's not have everything in the stock market. Let's get some more, let's put a few more things in some longer term bonds, put some things in some mutual funds that are less risky so that you don't lose everything if something should go sour and the stock market goes way down. The second, person who has everything tied up in their business, they might need to think about business continuity, real estate market fluctuations, or how to generate liquid cash in an emergency without selling their assets. So they suddenly have a really big bill that comes due. They want to figure out, okay, is it possible that we don't have to shut down a location and sell a building and sell all our equipment just in order to make ends meet or in order to pay a significant debt? So you're going to need to talk to them about that. They're not thinking about the stock market and bonds and mutual funds like the other guy is thinking about. So that's net worth. So just remember, in net worth, it doesn't matter even if they have the same net worth. You're thinking primarily about where is the money? How is it tied up? What's it invested in? And in that case, you'll be able to determine how best to advise them. So let's move forward a little bit and talk about income level. So when it comes to income level, it's all about stability, predictability, and planning. Someone with a high but irregular income might have higher earning potential, but they also might face dry spells. For example, you have people who are real estate agents. After they sell a really nice piece of property, they get a great big commission. and it's a feast for a little while. But then, the housing market takes a downturn, they're not selling very much, then famine sets in. So that they might get a lot of money all at one time, but then they might go through a long period where they don't get any money. So that's somebody who's a little bit unpredictable. Their financial plan should, therefore, focus on creating a buffer for those lean times and perhaps even strategies for effective tax planning to account for that fluctuation in yearly income. So you want to say, all right, every time you get a really big bonus or a commission, let's set some of that aside so that you're not just tempted to go out and just spend it all and live extravagantly for a few months, but then decide, oh wow, I have nothing to live on next month. So something like that. You would need to decide with them how they're going to deal with that fluctuation. And for those with steady incomes, like those who have salaried positions, they come with a sense of predictability. You can map out your expenses, the savings you're going to do, and investments quite comfortably. But what about those who don't have that luxury? Freelancers, entrepreneurs, salespeople working commissions, or even artists might face seasons of plenty followed by lean times, so like we're talking about earlier. First and foremost, the key word for those with unpredictable incomes is budgeting. A fundamental rule is to always live on the conservative side. Always be conservative when you're thinking about your budget and decide, okay, I really need to make sure that I'm going to have enough. I'm going to set aside even more than I think I would need to, just to make sure that I have enough. That means that when income is high, you shouldn't drastically alter your lifestyle upwards. So say, hey, I got a lot of money, I'm going to live it up. We're going to go out and buy a new car and eat at expensive restaurants all month. And why is that? Because the lean months might be just around the corner. A recommended approach is to determine a baseline monthly salary for yourself, and during high earning months, any surplus should be set aside as a buffer or emergency fund. This fund can be drawn on during the low income months, ensuring that regular expenses can still be paid without stress. You're still going to have your house, your car payment, everything taken care of. We also need to think about tax planning. Somebody with a fluctuating income might be in a higher tax bracket one year and a lower tax bracket the next. Sound tax strategies like making use of tax-deferred retirement accounts or other tax deductions can help in optimizing their overall net income. So if they have a really good year, they might be in a bigger bracket. The next year they don't make as much, so you just need to take that into account. Let's also think a little bit about debt management. Given the irregular cash flow, individuals with fluctuating income should be cautious about accumulating high-interest debt. So taking out a credit card that's got a 22% interest rate on it. Any short-term borrowing should be approached with a clear strategy for repayment. So, all right, I am going to take out a credit card, but I've got a repayment plan where I'm going to pay it off every month, and so that I don't accrue any debt. Another essential tool for them is income protection. This can be in the form of insurance products that are tailored for income replacement. After all, for someone with an already unpredictable income, an unexpected event like an illness or injury can be really destabilizing when compared to those with a more fixed income. And lastly, don't forget about retirement planning. If they're a freelancer or self-employed, without a cushion or an employer-sponsored retirement plan, they have to be a little more proactive, and they have to seek out ways to save for retirement without their employer thinking about it. So if you work for an employer, they might say, hey, we've got a 401k for you, and that's just kind of taken care of. It just comes out of your paycheck and starts accruing for the longer that you work there. All right, so those are all really good things to think about. Now I'd like to turn to professional stage, and let's delve into that a little bit more. So remember, when we talk about professional stage, it's where they are in their career. It doesn't necessarily go along with how old somebody is or how young. Younger people can be at different stages in their career than older people. It all just comes down to what's happened in their lives. So first, let's picture early career professionals. These are people that are usually fresh out of school or training, an apprenticeship, that are stepping into the world with lots of aspirations, big ideas about where they're going to go and what they're going to do and accomplish in life. At this stage, the primary financial concerns are the student loan payments, building credit, and laying a foundation for long-term financial health. They don't have that foundation yet. This stage might also be the right time to adopt an aggressive investment strategy given the longer time horizon, because time is on their side. You invest early and you just let time do its thing and let the interest compound over time. By the time they're ready to retire, things are going to be looking pretty good for them. Now, moving on, we also have mid-career individuals. Now, these are folks in their prime earning years. They've had some professional experience, and perhaps they've been promoted a few times. They're climbing the ladder or hitting their stride as entrepreneurs. If let's say they own their own business, they're starting to open new locations or expanding their inventory. They're starting to actually make money on what they're doing. Financially speaking, they might also be juggling things such as home mortgages, raising a family, saving money for their children's education. Their children are probably getting older and older. That's getting closer and closer. And they're seriously thinking about retirement planning. Here, you want to adopt more of a balanced financial strategy, and then ensuring they're providing security for their growing assets, but also making sure that there is still some growth. You don't want to stagnate too early in the process. So, you still want there to be some growth going on. So you kind of mix it up, if that makes sense. And finally, we have those who are late in their professional careers. And those are people who are getting closer and closer to retirement. It's looming. They might only have a few more years before it's time for them to retire. Decades of hard work experience, and hopefully they've got a pretty decent nest egg to show for it. So that they've invested for a long time, and those investments have grown over time so that they've got something to retire on. That would be really, really great. At this juncture, the financial focus often shifts to asset preservation. You don't want to be too aggressive at this point because you're just trying to preserve what you already have and make sure that they don't lose what they've worked so hard to gain over so many decades. So that's what you want to think about when we're talking late stage professionals. We're also thinking about estate planning and creating a retirement income strategy. It's all about ensuring they can maintain their desired lifestyle once their regular paychecks stop coming in. And as I mentioned earlier, it's essential to understand that these stages aren't linear progressions that are based just on age. A mid-career professional might decide, hey, I'm going to go back to school and start a different career. And effectively that transitions them back into some of the financial challenges that early career individuals have. You just realize, hey, this is not working out like I thought it was going to, so I'm going to go back to school. And then someone in their late career might decide, hey, I'm going to go into business and have a new entrepreneurial adventure that adds complexity to their financial situation as well. So the takeaway from this is that flexibility is the name of the game. Life doesn't always follow kind of a set script, a linear path. And as financial planners, you have to be adept at recognizing these shifts and these pivots, helping our clients recalibrate their financial plans as necessary. So that's a good discussion of career stages. Let's talk about health issues. So whether it's a sudden illness or it's a chronic condition, something that lasts for a very long time, healthcare can be very expensive, especially if the client is not adequately insured. Health emergencies can lead to substantial medical bills, a potential loss of income. So if somebody gets injured and they can't work, they're not bringing in the money just when they need it, and other unforeseen expenses. So maybe you have to now have different equipment in order to deal with the injury, and that all costs money. The solution is having a robust health insurance policy and an emergency fund in place. As financial planners, we can help clients choose policies that are tailored to their needs and design a savings plan that creates this rainy day fund. Now, what about divorce? That's another curveball in there. Beyond the emotional toll that it takes on the client, of course, there's a significant financial impact to consider. You have to talk about splitting assets and all the legal fees that come with the divorce, especially if there's a complex series of assets that need to be divided, adjusting to having a single income again, or possibly paying or receiving alimony. So all of those are new variables that you need to consider when financially planning. A financial planner's role here is to provide clarity and to help clients understand their rights and to create a new financial plan once everything is finalized. So they have to say, all right, it's not going to be like it was before. We have these new things. You have to pay alimony now, and you have to live on just one income instead of having that dual income that you were used to. So let's make another plan that's going to help you have the best quality of life as possible. Another aspect to consider is aging parents. As our parents age, they might require additional care, whether it's additional medical care, assisted living, or just help around the house. And this can place an unforeseen financial burden on individuals who are already trying to make ends meet with their own family. And planning for this requires a delicate balance, ensuring that we take care of our parents while not jeopardizing your own financial future. Like, it's great to take care of your parents, but if it torpedoes your own savings, then that's not a great idea. For those with special needs children, the planning is multifaceted. Beyond the immediate costs, there's also planning for therapies, potential surgeries, specialized education, and importantly, long-term care. Setting up a trust or seeking tax advantages based on those disabilities is important, and also ensuring that there's a plan for the care once the parents are gone, as we mentioned before. And finally, let's talk about the last curveball from my list is changing employment status. Your company suddenly goes belly up and you find yourself with no job. Whether it's a layoff, a sabbatical, or even a deliberate choice to pursue something else, changes in employment can have ripple effects on your finances, of course. Here, our role as financial planners is to strategize for such eventualities, ensuring that our clients maintain their lifestyles even when their regular income streams are disrupted. So that's another reason why it's a good idea to help people establish that rainy day fund we talked about, so that if they are laid off, that they can live for a little while. All right, so how did you do? Let's go ahead and ask you a few questions to see whether you comprehended today's lesson. All right, the first one is about family status. So how does the financial planning for a single individual differ from somebody with a family? So in this case, it's different priorities. A single individual is thinking about things just for themselves, something they'd like to purchase or where they want to travel or whatever. And then a family is thinking about the larger group, what's best for the whole family. So their priorities are going to be different. Next, we have net worth. So why is understanding the liquidity of a client's assets crucial to financial planning? So in this case, you want to know whether their assets are more liquid or they're more illiquid, because you're going to need to take different strategies depending on whether, hey, they've got all their money easily accessible in cash and bonds and stocks, or hey, it's all tied up in real estate. That's a different kind of financial planning. My next one is about income level. How might the financial strategies for someone with a steady income contrast with those for someone with a fluctuating income? So a steady income, it's really easy to plan for. You know what's coming in. You can say, all right, we're going to set aside this much for expenses. We're going to set aside this much for savings and so forth. And it's just really predictable. Somebody with a fluctuating income, you might say, hey, we need to set a budget where if you go over X amount in a month, we're going to save the surplus for the months that are leaner so that you don't adjust your lifestyle based on how you did that month. And some months are going to be great and some won't. My next question is about professional stage. Describe the typical financial concerns of early career professionals. So for those early career professionals, they're thinking about things like paying off their student loans and trying to get into the workforce. They're trying to maybe put down a down payment for their first home. They might be trying to just lay the foundation for what's going to come later. They can take riskier investments because you're focusing on growth. And as you go along, you're going to focus less on growth and more on preservation. My next question is about health issues. What financial preparations can be made to mitigate the impact of unexpected health emergencies? So in this case, the answer is twofold. You need to make sure that your clients have adequate insurance policies in place, medical and life insurance, that sort of thing. And then also you need to make sure that your clients are saving, that they create a rainy day fund, so that when these unexpected things happen, they're able to cover their expenses without having to go into debt. My next question is about divorce. Beyond splitting assets, what other financial considerations are there during divorce? So one of the big ones is that you have to readjust to living on a single income if you're a dual income household. You might also have to consider, oh, I have to pay alimony now. And that's going to greatly reduce my monthly paycheck. So if the alimony is going out, you're going to have to decide how you're going to live on what's left, for example. My next question is about special needs children. Why is long-term planning especially crucial for families with special needs children? So in this case, special needs children often require special care. They require special kinds of education, special equipment that might cost money, and also the long-term possibilities of what's going to be done with the special needs child once their parents are no longer there. So there needs to be a plan in place, how they're going to be cared for, who's going to care for them, if there needs to be a trust established, that sort of thing. All right, so how did you do? Just remember that anything, you need to consider these different variables before you give somebody financial advice, because it's going to completely change everything. Just like we're talking about at the beginning, it's like the chef. You need to know your audience. Preparing the spicy food, or are you preparing the bland food? Or somewhere in between. It just really depends on your audience. If you did well, please continue to the next lesson. And if not, please review this lesson before continuing on to the next one. And that's all for our lesson for today. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you for listening. The full series of audio lessons, if you're interested, is available at fplessons.com. fplessons.com. Best of luck in your studies.